let's just jump right in. What if the most powerful force shaping your life isn't your job, or your relationships, or your bank account, but simply how you see them? What if the reality you experience every single day is something you're actually building, moment by moment?
So to really wrap our heads around this idea, let's start with a super simple story. Because honestly, most events that happen in our lives are completely neutral until we come along and stick a label on them.
All right, so picture this. Two students. They get the exact same grade on a test. The event itself is identical, but just look at their internal reactions. Student A sees it as a final verdict on who they are. I'm just not smart. For them, it's a dead end. But student B, they see it as pure feedback. Okay, that approach didn't work. Time to try a different one. For them, it's a detour.
And this right here leads us to the big question, the one we're going to unpack. How can one single neutral event branch off into two completely different futures? Well, the answer is hidden in the invisible architecture of our minds.
To find that answer, we've got to peek under the hood. We need to look at this incredibly fast, almost automatic process that happens inside your brain. It's kind of like a mental assembly line that turns an event into an outcome, often before you even realize what's happening.
So it all kicks off with something cognitive psychologists call an appraisal. Now, this isn't some long, drawn-out thinking process. No way. It's an immediate gut-level evaluation. The second something happens, your brain goes, good, bad, a threat, and, this is the big one, what does this mean about me? That split-second appraisal sets off this powerful chain reaction. First, it shapes a conscious thought. You repeat that thought enough, and it hardens into a core belief. That belief then triggers an emotion, which then drives your behavior. And that behavior, of course, gets you a result. And here's the kicker. That result loops all the way back and reinforces the original belief, making the cycle even stronger for next time.
Okay, so we've got this lightning-fast cycle. But what's guiding that first initial appraisal? What's telling your mind what to focus on in the first place? Well, let's meet the hidden gatekeepers that literally filter the reality you get to experience.
First up is this incredible network in your brainstem called the Reticular Activating System, or just RAS for short. You can think of it as your brain's personal security guard or a spotlight operator. Its whole job is to decide what gets your attention and what just gets ignored. And this number really shows you just how critical the RAS is. Every single second, you're being bombarded with over 2 million bits of sensory information. Sights, sounds, feelings. There's absolutely no way you could process all of it. So your RAS has to choose. So how does it choose? This is the most important part of this whole thing. It uses your existing beliefs, your values, and what you care about as its programming. The RAS doesn't show you objective reality. It's not a camera recording the world. It's a reality editor, and it shows you the version of reality that proves what you already believe to be true. For example, let's say you hold this deep-down belief that you're just bad at math. Your RAS gets those instructions and it starts actively scanning your world, shining its big spotlight on every single mistake you make, while totally letting the problems you got right just fade into the background. It's looking for proof, and it will find it. But watch what happens when you change that core belief to something like, I am capable of growing. Boom. The RAS gets a whole new set of instructions. Now it starts highlighting the evidence of your effort, the small wins, the moments of progress. The performance might be the same, but the reality you experience is completely different. Now, the RAS doesn't work alone. It's got a crew of mental shortcuts helping it out, which we call cognitive biases. So you've got confirmation bias, which is just our tendency to hunt for proof that we're right. Then there's negativity bias, which makes us pay way more attention to bad news than good news. These shortcuts are built for speed, not accuracy, and they can seriously warp our perception without us even knowing it. And all of this brings us to that timeless question, which is just the perfect everyday example of this entire system at work. I mean, the amount of water in the glass, that's just a neutral fact, right? But the story you tell yourself about it, that changes everything. If you see it as half full, you feel gratitude, abundance. If you see it as half empty, you feel scarcity, a sense of lack. The physical reality is identical, but your emotional reality is worlds apart. Now, maybe you're thinking, great, so my brain is just automatically wired to filter reality. But here is the really, really cool part. None of this is fixed. We are not prisoners of these automatic filters. We can actually learn to step in and take control of the process.
This is the most empowering piece of the puzzle. A massive amount of research shows us that perception isn't some fixed trait you're born with. It's a flexible skill set. It's a muscle you can train and strengthen, just like learning to play the piano or hitting a baseball.
And the way we train this skill is by learning to hit the pause button on that mental assembly line. By just asking simple but incredibly powerful questions like, is this thought actually helping me? Or, hang on, is there another way to see this? We interrupt that automatic reaction. We create a little bit of space between the event and our response. And in that space, that's where we find our power to choose.
So let's bring it all home and see how this one simple skill, just learning to adjust your lens, can lead to huge real-world transformations. Because this isn't just some mental trick. It has profound effects on your entire life.
This is the fundamental shift. You go from being on autopilot, just reacting based on your old programming, to being in the driver's seat, responding intentionally based on the outcome you actually want. You literally become the architect of your own experience.
And this one skill set creates this massive ripple effect. The way you choose to interpret things directly impacts your resilience when you face a setback, your confidence to try something new, the quality of your relationships with other people, and ultimately your ability to succeed.
So, if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Mastering your perception isn't about ignoring reality or just slapping on a happy face. It's about recognizing the incredible power you have in that small space between what happens to you and how you respond. You have a choice in how you build your world. The only question is, what reality will you choose to build?